How you all doing? You alright? Yeah. I'm going to disappoint you now. I'm so sorry, but that was, wow, what an introduction. So I spoke here before, and I've got about, 10 minutes? Yeah. Shit. I don't know. This is probably one of the hardest things I've ever done, to compress my life into 10 minutes to give something to you. So, thank you so much for being here, for giving up your evening. I mean, what amazing speakers. Can we give a round of applause to all the speakers we've had this evening? I mean, wow. What an amazing night, right? And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you very much. Come down to the next one. Don't sit online and watch this. Like, you need to be involved. Because one of the things I've learned is that when you're involved in a community, things happen. When you connect and interact with people, things happen. Like, the only reason I'm where I am in my life is because of the people I have around me. And I can notice it when I look back, and in hindsight, when I look at my life, I have a vibration which is escalated throughout my life. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Do you understand energy? Yeah. So you understand, like, where you vibrate with a certain frequency and you attract certain people into your life, and as you raise that vibration, you sort of attract new people into your life. And so that's what's happened. I've attracted new people into my life, and it's been difficult. Like, one of the most challenging things that I ever did was to let go of some of my old friends. Like, some of my dearest friends that I've spent a lot of time with. Like, I've been through a lot of shit with. I got arrested with some of them because they were standing next to me at the time when they said, I will be there and I will take the blame with you because I'm your mate. And so when you have to let that person go out of your life, you have to start questioning your identity. Like, who am I? Am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right path? Does that make sense? So I've been through a lot of shit, and I don't have time to go through this with you right now. I'd love to. You can check on YouTube because I've been here before and I've spoken about that side of my journey. But what I really want to share with you now in the next sort of 9.5 minutes, I'm going to try and squeeze as much as I can here. I want to give you some tools that you can take away and use in your life. Is that fair? Yeah. Would you like that? Yeah. So if you've got a phone on you right now, take it out and start recording. Video, voice, whatever. Because I'm going to talk quite quickly, and you're probably not going to remember a lot of what I say. I'm on the bottom end of a second bottle of wine. So I'm just letting you know now that some of this may not make sense. But just take what works and leave what doesn't. Is that fair? Yeah. That's bullshit. Is that fair? Yeah. Great. So I've just come back from UPW, and as Shay says, I was helping to serve 10,000 people. And Lauren, who is a phenomenal woman, picked me to say, I want you to be the assistant manager, help run the crew, help run the event. And that position never used to exist. I created it. And I created it because I look in the world where I can step up and where I can serve and where I can actually make a difference. And I make myself known, and not only known, but I make myself available. Does that make sense? Like, I step up and I'm like, the first thing that I say is, how can I help? What do you need? And so I used to be a website developer, but what I realized quite quickly is that I couldn't compete. There are people in India and there are people in the Philippines that can build websites much cheaper than me. Probably much better than me, to be fair. And to give them credit, they're very good at what they do. But culturally, there's a difference. Like Western and Eastern civilizations. Have any of you seen it? Do any of you understand? Can I just get a show of hands? Who here has a job? Who here works? That's great, fantastic. Who here runs their own business? Wow, amazing, like entrepreneurs in the room. So, let me just ask you 3 very, very quick questions. Who here's got a website? Wow, okay, there's quite a lot of you. How many of you that put your hand up that have got a website, how many of you are proud of that website? Like, keep your hand up. How many of you that have got your hand up are getting the results that you want from that website? You're getting the results that you want from that website. You're happy with where you are in your business. Fantastic. Can we just give these people a round of applause because they cracked it? I've done this at many, many events, and I've only ever had one hand up before from people that are proud and getting results of their website. Because most people go and they'll get a website, but they don't actually know what it is that they want. And so they'll say, I need a website. And what they don't realise is that when you ask for a website, what you actually need is a designer, a developer, a marketing team, a therapist. There are so many things that are involved in a website that you don't realise. And so what I'm here to do today is just give you some really quick things that you can take away and you can actually use within whatever it is that you're doing. If it's your job, if you've got a job, if you work for someone, then you are your product because you're expendable. If you have a job, then you have to understand that you can be replaced. And it's the truth. And there's nothing wrong with that if you love your job and you're good at your job. But I've had jobs where I was so cocksure and certain of myself that I can't lose this job. I'm so good at what I'm doing, they can't fire me. What? I'm fired? Fuck. Like, you're expendable, it's a reality. So you have to create your own reality, right? You have to create your own future. So you create your own business, or you're an entrepreneur, or you're self-employed, or you create your own business, and you're like, what, I've got to do what? Accounts and marketing and sales and this and that and it becomes overwhelming, and that's why a lot of people don't make it. And what happens is that most people at the start will got 5 minutes, shit, I haven't even started yet. So most people, what will happen is they'll turn around to you and say, I need a website. And what happens is when you build a website, you don't actually know what it is that you need. So I'm going to give you 6 things very, very quickly that made all the difference to my life. And the reason this is important is because at the beginning of this year, in January, to tell you a very, very quick story, I was 53,000 and something in debt. That's quite a lot of money. It's the most I've ever been in debt in my life. I mean, I've been bankrupt, but that was for like 30 grand or something, and I had a gambling addiction. I overcome that. I dealt with the bankruptcy. I built my life up. I got to a point where I'm like, do you know what? I'm all right. I've got this. This is fine. I've got this. And then all of a sudden, I just plummeted down. I'm like, shit, why am I here again? Has anyone ever had that? Have you ever got to a place where you've overcome something and you've had to deal with it again? Yeah. And it shows up twice as bad? Yeah, you know what I'm like. So I'm at that point where I'm like, now I'm sitting here at the beginning of the year and I'm like, if you remember when I spoke on stage last time, I talked about when I got married and how I went and chased this woman across the world and how I won her heart and I got married and everything was going really well. Well, just to let you know, I got divorced. It didn't go according to plan. But the reality is that I started this year and it should have been a really shit year. Like right now, I should be in bed with a duvet and Netflix and some ice cream, feeling fucking sorry for myself. That's where I should be. But what happened is at the start of the year, I decided, you know, I'm not going to let this define me. I'm not going to let what happened. And like that poem that you shared, I mean, oh my God, my heart went out to you. I mean, I could feel that. Like for you, I could feel it, like what you've been through. What an amazing journey that you've been on. And to articulate that and to actually write that down and to spend your time doing that, like I love you for that. That was amazing. And so for me, it was like, I've been on my own journey, but I don't really share it that much because who gives a shit? It's like, it's my journey. Everyone's got their own journey. Everyone's got their own problems, their own story, right? But what's happened is that going on that journey, it's led me to a few things. That's what I want to give you right now in like the 2 minutes that I've got left. And what happened is that at the beginning of the year, I was £53,000 in debt. And I asked myself the question, how long do I want to pay this debt off? The answer was not very fucking long, I can tell you. But what happened is when I wrote all of the numbers down and I actually figured it out, if I was to have a job on minimum wage and I was to pay back what I could afford, it'd probably be about £100 a month. I mean, that's to repay a debt. That's quite a fair, like, you know, like an average, like, if I was to say that I was earning minimum wage, that would have taken me over 30 years to pay back. That's not something I wanted to do. That was enough leverage for me to say I need a better solution. And so I started looking for a different answer. And what I did is I realized that I've got all of these products and services that I've built over the years, but I've been too ashamed to sell. I've never promoted myself because I never thought I was good enough. Has anyone ever heard of imposter syndrome? So it's this thing where if you haven't heard of imposter syndrome, it's where you sabotage yourself because you don't feel good enough to actually step up and own what it is you do. Now I've just got back from 4 days crewing with 10,000 people where I was running around like a madman, helping run the event. And yet I won't own that. Because to me, I'm like, it's just doing what I do. It's just that thing. And so I do that in my business as well. And what I've come to realise is that when I wrote my book, and my book does really well, it's being translated into Arabic, into Serbian. I mean, we spoke to the university, didn't we? I was in Serbia recently speaking on stage in the Chamber of Commerce, thanks to Lydia. I'm going out to Bulgaria, I'm flying out to Africa to do some work out there. I'm going out to all these different places, speaking and doing all of these different things. And what I've realised is that I'm really fucking good at what I do. Like, I'm amazing at what I do, but I need to own that because, like, the biggest difference in my life was when I went and I got out of my own way. Because so often I get caught up in the journey and the story and all of the shit that goes on. So when I started at the beginning of this year and I was 50 grand in debt, I asked myself the question, what can I do differently? And I did a Facebook Live. I don't know if you remember it. It was like in February. I did a Facebook Live and I just said, look, here's everything I've ever made. Here's my book, here's my online course, here's another online course. I'm going to give you an hour of my time, I'm going to do this. And I packaged everything together. And I said, it's 300 quid, you can have it. 12 people, like that, bought it. It's like £4,000 I made in an instant, straight away. And I was like, shit, this stuff works. So I started to question what people actually want. And what I realized is that if you have a business or if you have a job, the only thing that determines your value in this world is the marketplace. It's what other people perceive your value to be. If people don't perceive you to be valuable, then they're not going to buy into you. So you can think whatever it is you want to think about yourself, but you need to ask yourself the question, how do other people see me? So I'm going to ask you a question right now. Do you think I look good?
Yeah.
Do I look good? I mean, not talking about my face, obviously, but I'm talking about my clothes. Do I look all right? Because the one thing I invest in right now is a stylist. Because how I show up in the world is important. She's sitting right here. Roberta Stowell-Lee, you should follow her. She knows her shit. I've had so many compliments, and I've had so many people question, like, I didn't know ladies looked at shoes. I had no idea. Like, you're laughing, but I had no idea. Guys, get some good shoes. I swear to God it makes a difference. You laugh. I had no idea. And there were so many things that I had no idea about, but what I've realised is that when I packaged all of my shit together, and when I put it together and I presented it in a way that was attractive to other people, they bought it. So I set out on a mission. I wanted to make £100,000 in a month. And if any of you want to look on my Facebook right now, Steve Woody 82, so go on Facebook, Steve Woody, just type me in, have a look. You'll see that, was it this morning or yesterday morning? I had a troll. I had someone who turned around and went, what a fucking prick. He was like, you ain't made that sort of money, you ain't done this, you ain't done that. You're calling yourself an international bestseller, your book ain't worth shit, you ain't worth shit. And I was like, really? I can have some fun with this because I know what I'm worth. There's nobody that can tell me what I'm worth because there's nobody that can say to me that is worse than what I've said to myself. Does that make sense? Yeah. Like the conversations that I've had in my head is worse than what any of you could say about me, which is why I don't give a shit. I don't care what anyone says about me. That's why I speak my truth. That's why I am what I am. That's how I've conditioned myself to be who I am in this world because of all the problems. Like I have a saying, I know I'm going to be successful because I am running out of shit to do wrong. I've done everything wrong so that you don't have to. And what I'm telling you now is how you package yourself. The perceived value that you have in this marketplace makes a difference. I sat on a mission to make £100,000. That was 100 clients paying me £1,000 each. I packaged everything together that I've ever made and I failed. I didn't hit my target. I'm fucking glad I didn't because I could not possibly manage 100 clients. What happened is I made 20 clients and another one who paid me a little bit extra because he wanted something special, but that was £30,000 in a month. That happened in March. We're now in what, June? Coming up, coming up to May. So that's another £20,000 that's gone into my bank account because of all the work that I've been doing at the moment. This shit works. I'm not sitting here to try and brag. I'm not sitting here to show off. I really don't care about that. What I'm saying is that whatever you're doing in the world, package it together. Whatever you want to build, whether it's your poems, whether it's your music, whether it's your business, whether it's yourself, whatever it is that you want to do, package it together because the perceived value that the marketplace has on you, that determines your worth. Does that make sense? Yes. Yeah? Yes. You don't sound convinced. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You're all fucking amazing. Go out there and get what you're worth because there is more than enough money in the world to satisfy everybody. You've just got to go and get it. I'm sorry, I'm out of time. I wish I had more, but take care. Have an amazing night. Thank you.